Welcome to DS Graphics, the official publisher of SolidWorks training manuals. A lot of people think that the DS in DS Graphics stands for Dassault Systems, but it's actually a company founded by Diane and Sandy, two graphics designers. These days, DS Graphics does print, mail, and fulfillment for SolidWorks and many other companies. In this episode of SolidTV, we're going to take you on a tour through the DS Graphics facility to show you how the SolidWorks training manuals are created. Let's go. Okay, here we are in one of the print rooms of DS Graphics, where I'm going to show you the HP T200 color printer. It starts off as a big roll of paper down here, which spins and feeds into the press. And this part of the press, we print the front side of the pages. We're printing 4 up, meaning this press is printing 4 pages at a time. It feeds up and over into the dryer to dry the ink onto the page to prevent any smudging or bleeding. Then it feeds over to the other side of the press where it prints the back side of the paper. Comes back into the dryer to dry the second side, the back side of the page. And then it feeds up and over and it comes down into the inspection station. In the inspection station, it's scanning the pages as it goes and comparing it to the PDF that we sent to DS Graphics. If something doesn't match, the red light goes off and the operator comes to take a look at it. But if everything's going well, it just keeps feeding through. Our next stop is over here at the humidifier. Earlier we dried the pages to keep the ink on the page, but now we need to run it through the humidifier to bring the paper back to its original relative humidity. The pages are feeding through at 400 pages per minute. Once the paper leaves the T200 printer, it comes over to this machine that can raise and lower to slow the pages down. It's important because the next step after this is where the pages are going to be cut, so sometimes things need to pause in order for the pages to be cut. So it feeds through this, comes down here into the cutter, and feeds underneath. Now at this point, remember, the pages are all just on one big roll, one big sheet of paper. So when it feeds into the cutter, we need to trim off the edges. We need to cut the pages vertically and cut the pages horizontally, and when we're done, we're left with book blocks, and in this case of the surfacing book, where they're all ready to go on to the next phase of the process. Here we are in the pre-press area, where the PDFs that we send to DS Graphics are laser printed onto aluminum sheets. The images for each color, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, are printed onto 4 separate sheets. It's printed in a 24-page per sheet image. So that way, when it goes to the Heidelberg press that we'll show you later, each color is printed on a separate drum and a separate press on the big machine. So as the press comes out, you can start to see some of the images you'll find familiar from the English Essentials book. Here we are at the Heidelberg Speedmaster. It starts off down at this end with the pages feeding in. Each page is a single sheet of paper big enough to print 24 pages of the SolidWorks Essentials book. It comes through and gets fed in, and each color gets printed one at a time: black, magenta, cyan, and yellow. Once it prints the top of the page, it comes to this station here where UV light instantly dries the ink and flips the page upside down. Then the back side of the page gets printed: black, magenta, cyan, and yellow. If a coating is required, a coating gets applied to the page right here for a nice glossy feel. Another UV dryer dries the back side ink, and now the page is complete. It feeds through and starts stacking up at the end of the press over here. To ensure that the printing is going well, there's a monitor over here that measures the color levels throughout the entire press. It measures the ink quantities and the output throughout the printing process. So here we are at the final station for the Heidelberg press, where the finished pages have come off. We've got the bright light so we can review the colors and make sure everything looks okay. We've got 24 pages of the Essentials on one side and 24 pages on the other. Notice it's already dry to the touch, even though it just finished the printing process. No smudging or smearing of the ink. due to the wonderful process that they use. So here we are in the finishing area where the covers are put onto the books. I want to show you what the covers look like before and after the custom printing is done. We have the shells of all of the covers, and notice the white space at the bottom, and the back of the inside front cover is completely empty. But once an order comes in, DS Graphics goes ahead and puts the VAR logo on the front cover, as well as the custom information on the back, including the barcode for how somebody can access the ebook online. The final step in the process is adding the binding to the book. The operator starts by threading the coil into the holes at the bottom of the book. Then she proceeds to wiggle the pages as the coil feeds through the entire manual. Now we have a fully bound book. A couple of finishing touches to trim off the excess on both ends. And there you have it, a fully bound SolidWorks training manual. I want to say thank you to everyone at DS Graphics for letting us take this tour of their facility. I hope you enjoyed this look at how SolidWorks training manuals are made, and I hope you enjoyed the latest episode of SolidTV.